Welcome back to another episode of Mind, Your Body, and Soul. This is the healthiest podcast you have ever heard in your entire life. And remember, our overall goal for Mind, Your Body, and Soul is to connect our community to people and resources within our community, as well as information within our community, so we can educate and inspire people who may not have had access to this information. And the overall goal is to make sure that they are empowered. So that's what we do here on Mind Your Body. And so I am your host, Joseph Ward, and we have a great show for you today. Remember, you can support us here on this YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Share this video, comment on this video. Make sure you like the video. Remember, we're also on Spotify, Breaker, all of the iTunes, all of the major podcast platforms. Our information is on, as well as our Neighborhood Medical Center website, which is www.neighborhoodmedicalcenter.org. And we also have a Neighborhood Medical Center podcast website, which is www.nmcpodcast.com. So make sure you check us out and support us. We have a lot of great information in addition to what we have for you today. So I'm excited today because we get to learn a lot about fire safety today. One of the things that happens within our community is we will have general knowledge about fire safety, or we will have the common overview about fire safety, but nobody has really given us in-depth information on fire safety. So I have a chance here to connect my audience with two gentlemen who represent the Tallahassee Fire Department, two men who are servicing our community in a great way, and we thank them for their service. We thank them for the sacrifice that they are giving to make sure that communities and people are safe here in Tallahassee. So we have Mr. Anthony Espinosa. He's a staff captain for the Tallahassee Fire Department, 16 plus years with the Tallahassee Fire Department. His current role is the communications coordinator, which serves as a liaison to the Consolidated Dispatch Agency, as well as other agencies within the Tallahassee and Leon County area. He's previously worked in fire prevention as an inspector and an investigator, conducting life safety inspections on existing businesses and investigated fires to determine cause and origin. He has an associate's degree in fire science, has a Bachelor of Science in Homeland Security, and is currently working on a Master's of Public Administration focused on emergency service management. We also have Mr. Todd Inserra, who is a public information officer with the Tallahassee Fire Department. He served in that role for 2 years, but he served with the Tallahassee Fire Department for 13 years. His previous role was an inspector and investigator. He oversees Tallahassee Fire Department recruitment, and he has a bachelor's in fire science. So I would like to welcome Mr. Anthony Espinosa and Mr. Todd Inserra to Mind Your Body. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks.
Yes. It's like I said earlier, fire safety is something that's very, 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 very important. I remember as a child, they would have I grew up in the 90s, born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. So they would have the Smokey the Bear campaigns, and that was about all of it that we got. We may have been taught how to use a fire extinguisher, or the Smokey the Bear campaign, but we never really got in-depth fire safety information. So I'm happy to have you gentlemen here so we can get a bit in-depth on that. But before we get in-depth on that, we would like to learn a little more about yourselves. So start with you, Anthony. What inspired you to become a firefighter, and how has your perception of the profession changed since you've become a firefighter, especially here in Tallahassee?
Yeah. So again, thanks, Joe, for having us here. And what got me into the fire service, I think like many people who got into the fire service after 2001, September 11th, wanting to do more for our community and to serve others, watching those events and the response to those events really just grew something inside of me to want to serve others more. And the fire service is where I ended up. As far as perception, my perception hasn't really changed. But seeing the other side of the fire service, outside of working in the station and sorry, we have automatic lighting here. Working administration side, there's a lot that goes into being a fire department. It's not just a fire station. We serve in the community, but working in administration there's a lot that goes into it. Being able to experience that has been great.
Okay. Todd, same question. What inspired you?
Yeah, I mean, I have similar, story as well. I mean, I remember 9/11 as well, and at that time, the fire service after tragedies like that becomes a little bit more in the public perception as being, heroes, and so people who we want, when something goes bad. So, I guess I actually wanted to become a firefighter before 9/11. It was just something that I wanted to do, serve in the community. That's, I'm a people person. I enjoy people, and what better way to serve the community, or serve the people that you live in, same community with, than the fire service. And then I mentioned 9/11 because that solidified the desire that I wanted to enter the fire service.
Okay. And your perception before you became a firefighter versus your perception now, how has it changed a bit?
Yeah, I mean, just like Captain Espinosa said, I mean, just seeing the more intricate details of what the fire service is, not just responding to calls. It's not just saving people from a burning building or something. It's there's a lot to it. There's a lot more community engagement. So in my perception, I guess, has just changed in the fact that I've realized the larger scope that the fire service encompasses, rather than just what you might see in the media or on TV.
Gotcha. And I'm glad both of you are articulating that, because, like I say, from a novice standpoint, our perception of a firefighter or fire safety is like what we see on TV. You're always just on call, going and just running into burning buildings, saving cats out of trees, and the dramatic stuff. But it never really gets into the day-to-day things that actually makes a fire station or a fire crew run efficiently. So I'm glad you guys are getting into that.
Yeah, and the training that goes into it, Joe, even before, not just before we become sworn firefighters, but the regular training that we go through now. Both of us, like I said, we work in prevention. That's a huge aspect of the fire service today, and not just Tallahassee, but probably worldwide, trying to prevent fires. And then also just the logistics behind it. Building stations, getting the gear and the supplies needed. It's a business behind the fire service.
Gotcha. So, and just real quick, just for better understanding, and you can give an overview. You don't have to go full detail by detail, but what steps, if I wanted to become a firefighter, and I made up my mind, I want, this is a path I want to take. What steps or what process would I have to go through to become a firefighter?
Yeah, so in the state of Florida, and particularly Tallahassee Fire Department, you have to go through fire school, which we call your firefighter standards. So there's one here in Tallahassee, lasts about 5.5 to 6 months. And so once you graduate from that, you have what they call your fire standards. It's firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. To work for the Tallahassee Fire Department and most departments around the state, you have to at least have your EMT or your you have to at least be an emergency medical technician, which takes about 6 months as well locally. So you can have everything you need right around a year to work for us. But yeah, I mean, the only two, I mean, you must be 18 and have graduated from high school or have a GED. But besides those, any further education is the fire academy, where you get your firefighter minimum standards, and your EMT.
Gotcha. Okay, so if there's any teens that are out there, young people coming out of high school, young people who are in college, and uh, you've ever wanted to become a firefighter, especially in the state of Florida, these are steps that you can take for yourself, and it take a year's process. So I appreciate that.
Yep,
So
you can get everything very quickly.
that's cool. But I think a lot more young people need to know that, because that's another career option that a lot of our young people can be able to take, but they need to be able to know about it as well. Because I know when I was coming out of high school, even in college, I didn't know what it would take to become a firefighter or a police officer or anything. So I appreciate that information. So I'll start with you, Anthony, with this one. Can you describe a challenging or memorable rescue mission you've been a part of, and something that you've learned from that mission?
Yeah. So numerous calls, we run every day. So really to pinpoint one would be hard. There's just every call has an aftermath or an end result. And realizing that there's a human side to what we do. It takes a lot to respond to an emergency, physically and mentally. But depending on each other, depending on your partners in your station and other agencies, it's allowing yourself to be almost vulnerable to accept help and to and help others. It's just it's a different experience.
I would imagine. I would imagine the mindset that it would need to be able to serve in the capacity that you serve, but also the teamwork, the aspect of how teamwork is very, very, very important for you all, because it's if everybody's not working together, it could cause you guys great danger. But Todd, how important is the teamwork aspect from your experience? How important has teamwork been to ensure safety and to ensure that you all can actually go out and help the people who you were dispatched to help?
Yeah, I mean, it's vital. Just in the, no two calls are the same. We go on, calls every day, and none of them are exactly alike. And it just shows you, it really emphasizes the need to train together and to build those teamwork, those relationships, so that you can rely on, your team member, your teammate to, be there, because you don't know what kind of call you're going to get. Like the three of us couldn't draw up, what we're going to do on every single call. It's just not possible with the amount of different types of calls we go on. So you just the teamwork aspect, you just have to know that your partner is going to be there for however you're going to need them. And it starts with training. We train all year round. And so, that training leads to the fact that, hey, I know if I'm in this situation, that this person that's been training with me throughout our entire careers is going to back me up in however I need them to do so.
Okay. And because that leads me, the thought that popped in my head was, because you were saying that no two situations are the same. You will have differences in every situation. You don't know, you can't draw it up. So are there certain principles or certain things that you all are taught that as firefighters that can be able to keep you safe no matter the situation that you're called out to?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I say you can't draw it up, but there are general defined rules and duties that each of our members have on specific types of calls. So, if we're going to a fire, let's just say we're going to a structure fire or something, the firefighter in the back, the officer in the front, and the driver, engineer are going to have specific duties that they know that they're going to need to do while en route to that thing. So it's not like they get to the scene and then it's just like a free for all. There are defined things and duties for each one of our members on those types of calls.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense, especially going into the teamwork aspect.
Right.
All right. So, moving more into fire prevention, is that something that we all need to know? It's an aspect I think some of us may overlook at times because we might not. Well, the chances of the fire we may think in our mind may be low, but fire prevention and fire safety is very important overall. So homeowners, people who live in homes, apartments, trailer homes, what are some general fire prevention advice that you would give to homeowners to help reduce the hazards that could lead to fires?
Yeah. So I think, Joe, with like any health and safety matter, prevention is key. Making sure that you are keeping up with normal maintenance of your residence, of your home, making sure that you're not cluttering areas specifically around, electrical outlets or water heaters or fireplaces if you've got one. Having working smoke detectors in your home outside of your sleeping areas, having working fire extinguishers in your home, and possibly even multiple ones. Everybody thinks that a fire is always going to start in the kitchen, and there are lots of kitchen fires, but don't keep that fire extinguisher necessarily in your kitchen, because if that fire is in your kitchen, you're going to have a hard time getting to it. Maybe having a secondary one in your bedroom, but in your bedroom closet, it might be a good practice, because if in the middle of the night you're sleeping and there's a fire outside your bedroom, you may need that extinguisher to help you get on out of that house. Having multiple, having an escape plan with you and your family, or your roommates or whoever it may be, knowing multiple ways to get out of your home, not just that front door, but if you've got a back door, if you need to utilize a window, and drilling in that, and having a fire drill in your home. It's not just for schools and businesses, and making sure that you've got a designated meetup place, because everybody in that home may not get out that same exit. You may go out the door, I may go out the window, and we need to make sure that we have a place to meet up together so that when the fire department does get there and they ask, is everybody out of the house, that it's known we've got everybody here. Everybody's accounted for. It just makes practicing and just makes it go a little smoother, just like with training here at the fire department. And education is key. It's great what you're doing here with this, getting the word out to the community to help them with that.
Gotcha. Okay. So in addition, I do want to ask this, because this is a part of my living situation, but others that I know of, in the past, I've lived in areas where it was high crime, high break-ins. So people have the burglar bars on their windows, or the certain locks on their windows to make it harder for somebody to come into the house. So how would you work with them to construct the greatest safety plan to A, make sure nobody can come in, but B, make it easy for them to be able to get out, having these barriers to keep people out of their home?
So I think with just a normal window lock, obviously if you've got that, keep it locked and make sure that it does work on a normal day. Just make sure you're exercising those locks, that your window does go up and down. Get those blinds out of the way if you are ever having to go out. It's something simple that if you've got window blinds, you may get tangled up in them trying to escape. But those, I believe, and I really can't speak to it 100%, but I believe most of those bars should have a latch that will allow it to push out, hopefully. That it's not just, you're going to be trapped in there. That would be an unsafe practice.
Right.
And if the means allow for it, if they don't, make sure we can maybe put in place something a little more that will prevent people from coming in, but it will allow you to get out from the inside.
Right. Have either of you ever been in a situation where a person may have had a an issue with the fire, but they were a hoarder as well, and that may have made it difficult to be able to help that person to get them out?
Yeah, we run into that from time to time. That's another reason why we stress fire prevention, to keep clutter, or keep free from clutter, so that we can, so that not only that you can get out, if something were to happen, but also so that we can get in if you do need help. So, so unfortunately we do run into that, time to time. And that's just an opportunity for us to stress the need to prevent those situations as much as we can.
Gotcha. Thank you. So we society is moving forward. Technology is becoming more integrated into our society as we move forward in every aspect of our different lives and our profession. So how has technology impacted firefighting? In what ways has it been incorporated into what you guys do to make your job either easier or make your job more challenging? But how has technology been incorporated with how you fight fires?
Sure. So technology in the fire service has come a far way from even before when Todd and I started firefighting. There used to be not enough air packs on every truck for the amount of people working a fire, and it was almost frowned upon. And then I'm talking years ago, before we started. It was almost frowned upon that if you put an air pack on, you weren't one of the tough firefighters. But that mentality has changed drastically in the fire service. There are more than enough air packs on each apparatus for everybody riding. And state of the art, we've got personnel who are dedicated to servicing and testing that equipment for us in our department. We've got these new radios that have cell technology on them and GPS tracking, that if we ever have a down firefighter, that they'll be able to be found helping be finding them using that radio. These radios will work nationwide also. Our USAR team was deployed down to Surfside for the building collapse a couple of years ago, I guess it was. And these radios would be able to transmit back to Tallahassee if need be. So stuff like that. When I first started, we were still using notepads for patient information with a carbon copy and having to come back and write reports. We now have digital tablets where we can enter patient information, sync with other equipment, and start writing those reports before we even get back to the station. So we do pre-fire plans also with, again, when we both first started, it was writing handwritten notes on a piece of paper and coming back and having to enter that into our computers. We now have the technology to do pre-fire plans, and on the tablets or even on our cell phones, take real-time pictures and upload that data so that when we're responding to businesses, we can see any obstructions or any hazards that may be in that building. And that's just commercial buildings. We don't do pre-fire plans or residential buildings, but just real-time information helps our response and helps keep the community safer.
Gotcha. Now, because like I say, the way things are going now, technology is being just integrated more and more in every aspect of our lives, but also at the jobs that we take, a lot of people are thinking efficiency and things. So it's always fascinating to see how the profession has evolved and technology has evolved with the profession to ensure efficiency, but also for you guys, safety. Like, you're still dealing with human beings, still dealing with real situations. So making sure that a person's safety is still the highest priority.
That's right.
All right. I appreciate that. So I'll say this again. I myself, I couldn't imagine running into a burning building, but it's a profession that you guys signed up for. I think we all choose professions that challenge us and that we gravitate toward, because I know there's certain people who look at what I do, like, I couldn't do that, but we're all in different types of high stress situations. you guys are dealing with some stress that we just would not be able to deal with in this profession. But we, as professionals, we all have to deal with different types of stress, but particularly dealing with the stress of firefighting. How do you, how are you able to manage the stress that may come with the job, as far as on the front end, maybe dealing with just the job itself, or even saving people, or having people's lives in your hands? How are you able to deal with that? How are you able to manage the stress that comes with the job?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a stressful job, and it can be at times, and everybody handles it differently. I mean, like you said, maybe you think that you can't, I could never do that, and then maybe I say the same thing about your job. So everybody handles different types of stress differently. I know it's not technology, but as Captain Espinosa was talking about the positive impact of technology from when we started to now, the same can be said about the mental aspect of firefighting, especially as I can speak to, Tallahassee Fire Department. We've come a long way in making sure that people are available for our members to talk to if they do have a difficult call that is causing them, more stress than usual. So, I mean, we have peer support teams. It goes from the very top. Chief Sanders is very, he's very behind that. So we have people to talk to. For me personally, I have friends in this department that, I can lean on, and, family members and such. So, everybody just handles it differently, but it is something that has positively moved forward just within the time we've been here.
Gotcha. And once again, I asked that because my job, HIV/AIDS prevention, after revealing to someone their status, that's not a fun time. So I know, just thinking about when I'm doing that, or if I'm out and we're doing some type of outreach or anything, we do find somebody who may have an STD or an STI, and we have to reveal that information to them. That's a stressful situation, and then having to leave that and hoping that they take the care, they take the information, take the resources so they can get into care, and then we have to de-stress ourselves. So it's just thinking about it along those lines of on a day-to-day basis. This week could be a heck of a week. We have a storm coming this week, so that could complicate things. And well, speaking of that, how does that impact you guys' job, or impact what you do? Like this week, we have a possible hurricane coming our way. How does that impact what you do as far as being able to go out and help people, serve the community? Or how may that even hinder what you do?
So I think, like Lieutenant Inserra said, this job is never the same every day. Day to day, it's always going to throw something different at you. We got word that the storm was tracking in our direction, and as this progresses, it's looking more and more like it's gonna affect our area one way or another. Just our training and being prepared, and we still have to run our calls. The calls that come in 911 right now, they're running them, and so it's almost a reactive business. We have to react to whatever is coming at us, and even during a storm, there's going to be medical calls coming in. There's going to be possibly fires, or just any type of call, no matter what the incident is. They're still going to come in. Emergencies don't stop because we've got a storm coming.
Right.
So we've just got to deal with the hand that we're dealt.
Right. And once again, my hat goes off to you, and I thank you for your service, because at a time like that, in the middle of a storm, if a fire happens, we're expecting you guys to go out. As citizens, just as people, we're expecting you to be able to go out and still fight the fires. But I think also, and I'm saying it like this because as a civilian, us recognizing your humanity and remembering the humanity in you gentlemen as well when you go out and you fight the fires, understanding that everything that will go into any other human going into that job, you're dealing with that times 10 or whatever, however many times it can go. So I just want to acknowledge you all with that is we thank you for your service, but we also recognize the humanity in you and how it could affect you as well. So,
well, thank you.
No problem. So once again, like a situation like the storm, fires are emergencies in my mind. They're all emergencies. I don't know the degree of one that could be worse than the other. They will all be bad situations in my mind. So do you receive specific training for specific type of fires or specific type of emergencies, and how would some of the trainings that you will receive maybe differ to be able to ensure the safety of yourself and the people that you are servicing?
Yeah, I mean, when you get hired with the Tallahassee Fire Department, we put you through anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks of orientation where we train and show you how Tallahassee does things. So you get your state training in your fire school, but when you get hired with Tallahassee, we kind of show you how we do things, which is in line with what the state does, but in certain areas it might just be a little bit different. So So yeah, I mean, we're always training. We're always making sure that the roles on certain types of fires, whether it's a vehicle fire, whether it's a 3-story building fire, or whether it's a single-story residence, we are going to have those defined roles, and we would have practiced them and trained for them that we should know exactly what we're doing and what is expected of us in those moments. So yeah, so there's every fire we don't fight exactly the same. When the first officer gets on scene, they walk around the entire building if it's a structure fire, and they make sure to note any type of hazards or any type of things that need to be dealt with immediately, right? So if they walk around a building and they see somebody, yelling from the second floor, that's our number one priority right there is, hey, we need to get to that person. So, so we do get on scene and figure out what we have before we rush into anything.
Gotcha. Well, that's why the training is important. In any profession that we all have, we all go through a series of training. But that, like you just said, that training is the plethora of training that you would get is important to be able to ensure the safety in any situation that you're in. But it makes sense for you to tailor it for certain situations, but also be prepared for many different situations as well. Gotcha. Okay, so you guys see it. You've seen a lot. You've experienced a lot as your time working as firefighters. You've seen great situations. You've seen devastating situations, and the impacts that it have on people's lives. And we talked about de-stressing, but if you've ever seen or witnessed a very horrific situation, is there any type of counseling or any type of mental help or emotional help that you guys have access to?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Lieutenant Inserra stated earlier, we've got great resources. A second alarm project, we have peer support. We have each other, and we do lean on each other quite a bit. We've got friends inside the department, and we also have friends outside the department and family that, while we don't talk specifics, we could just say, had a bad day today, or and I think that's important, is to share and to let out those stressors and not hold them in. Sometimes the outcome of any any incident isn't ideal, but we need to know that we all did our best and we tried our best. And, but there are definitely outlets for us to explore if need be.
Gotcha. And one of the reasons why I was asking that, to make sure that if not, then how could some kind of partnership be put in place? But I'm glad the resources are there. But if not, it's like, how can a partnership be put in place to be able to make sure you get access to a lot of the free resources that we do have in Tallahassee? But I'm glad that that is already in place, and you have what you need. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, our department is very big on mental health awareness, making sure our members are taken care of that way.
That is great. That is great. So back to the education aspect of fire safety, especially for the community. And Todd, like, do you all engage a lot with the local schools, maybe elementary, middle, maybe high schools? Is that something that happens on the regular? And if so, can you give me an example of how you would engage like certain schools or certain kids with fire safety, or you don't have to full example, just some of the things you would tell the kids, or some of the engagement that you would have with the kids?
Yeah, so we're very active in our schools. We have a really good relationship with Leon County schools, as well as many of our private schools around our local area. We do a lot of displays. Fire trucks, fire engines, bringing them out mostly to elementary school students. And we teach them just, basic fire stuff for the elementary schools students, where to go if you hear the fire alarm, even at your house, stop, drop, and roll, very basic fire safety stuff that, hey, do not play with matches, do not do this. And we emphasize that we are not scary. So our firefighters are really good, even if it's in the middle of July or right now when it's 100 degrees, that if they go out to a camp or to a school or wherever, that they'll put on their full gear with their mask, and they'll show the students, hey, this is how I'm going to look if I'm coming to your house to help you. And that's always good, because we can look scary, especially to an elementary schooler. This past year in middle school, everybody in our department actually signed up to do this thing we called lunch buddies. So we went out and at lunchtime and we hung out with the middle schoolers at Leon County Schools, talked to them about anything. It didn't even have to be fire safety. It could just be like, hey man, you got a football game tonight? That's cool. Or hey, your cheerleading, how's that's going? Or volleyball or whatever. Our members went out and they engaged with the students, and that seemed to be something that they really liked. And then high school, we go out to high schools and we're involved in that, and that's mostly from a recruitment standpoint, where we say, hey, here's a possibility for another career, that you might not have thought of, and such. So we are definitely involved in the schools. To give you an example of a private school, I just mentioned that those are all the things that we do with Leon County schools, but just mention a private school. One of our private schools in town had a big capture the flag game recently. And it was a very large capture the flag game where the entire school went out, and we had a crew of firefighters go out and play against them and taught them fire safety before and after. So it was just those types of things. We live in this community, we're part of this community, and so we want to engage with the community as well.
Yes. Now, thank you for that. But one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that question was asked, and I'm happy for your answer. There have been so many instances, I can't even count them on my fingers and toes, but so many instances where I'm out doing some type of community work somewhere in the community, north side, east side, south side, west side, and the fire department is showing up, interacting with the children in the community, interacting with the adults in the community, letting them come on the truck, spraying the water hose, several events like that. That's one thing I always say about this city in Tallahassee. Our service providers are accessible. I thank the Tallahassee Fire Department for everything that you do, because like I said, you are accessible. I can see a firefighter somewhere in the community. I've been to events and the fire chief is there. We're able to interact and talk, have a good conversation with the fire chief, and it destigmatizes it, because this is a regular human being like every one of us. But I think sometimes we get the idea as firefighters or police officers or EMT workers that it's like you all are like mythical creatures, but no, you are our community members who are servicing our community. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate all that you do, because I see you all the time. I see Tallahassee Fire Department all the time in our community, and I love it. So please keep up the great work.
And Joe, we are committed to community engagement. Even if you happen not to see us out in the community, come by a fire station. We are always happy to have a visitor. If the bay door is down, ring the bell and bring a kid in, and we'll show you around the station as well. So,
yes, I appreciate that. So, well, we talked about the teamwork aspect. Just overall, what closing or overall message would each of you like to give our audience just about Tallahassee Fire Department, or even about fire safety? Just some encouraging words or some tips and information that either of you would like to leave our audience.
Yeah, I mean, we, like I ended the last question is, we are part of this community, and we want to engage in this community. We don't want to be, like you said, mythical creatures, or, our fire chief is very approachable. He loves the community engagement. He loves to be out there doing those types of things. And I just want, I would just stress that we are out there doing these things. We like to do it. We will continue to do it. We are, going to be there when you really need us. When you call us on your worst day, we're going to be the ones to show up, but we also want to be there on your best day. So we're all in, we're fully committed, and we hope that the community will also engage with us as we engage with our community.
and so also, I think, like Lieutenant Inserra said, it's a collaborative effort. I couldn't do my job by myself. The crews in the units out on the street, they can't do the job one person. Everybody's got multiple people on those units, but at the same time, our department can't service the community the way it needs to be without other agencies like TPD, LCSO, EMS, and even consolidated dispatch. We all need each other, and we all work together great. So we are committed to this community and the well-being of the community.
And now, like I say, I really appreciate all that Tallahassee Fire Department does. Your commitment to the community, just everything that you bring to the Tallahassee community. I remember 1998. I was in the 8th grade. We had a house fire, and we unfortunately we lost everything. But the experience with Tallahassee Fire Department was an excellent experience. They wrapped their arms around us. I was young, still trying to process everything, but Tallahassee Fire Department, everybody who came, they wrapped their arms around us, and they showed us as much love and compassion as possible. So that I will never forget. And that's why, I always be thankful for our fire department, but also things that you are doing currently for our community, and as many lives that you are saving, as many lives that you're touching, and as many lives that you are inspiring, because some young person who may not have known that they could take those steps to become a firefighter, they now because of what you're doing, have that information to be able to take those steps. So the full spectrum of what you do. Once again, thank you Thank you both, but thank you for the Tallahassee Fire Department as a whole for your service.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack.
No problem. If people would like to reach out to Tallahassee Fire Department to have you come out for events or be able to collaborate with you in the community, what's the best way to be able to contact the Tallahassee Fire Department?
Yeah, we do have a form you can fill out online. If you go to talgov.com and then go to the fire department page, you can there is a ride along or display. I mean, there is ride alongs, but there's also a display speaker request form on there, and if you turn that in, we will do our best to be there.
All right, we appreciate you, and that will be in the description of this video, so you can scroll down and be able to click that and make it easy for you to find. I appreciate once again your time, your information, and everything that you're doing for the community, Mr. Anthony Espinosa, Mr. Todd Inserra. I'm sorry. Our community is a lot safer, and our community is better because of you and all of the work that you guys are putting in, you and your team. So thank you once again. This is Mind Your Body and Soul. Once again, the purpose is to connect with the people and the resources in our community who make our community better. And here we are. And I definitely look forward to being able to work with you guys in the future. Neighborhood Medical Center and Tallahassee Fire Department coming together to be able to work in the future. So I look forward to that. For everyone else, I appreciate you tuning in to this, and make sure you share this video. You get in the comment section, drop your comments. That helps the algorithm. You like and you subscribe to this channel. And with that being said, I'm Joseph Ward. This is Mind Your Body and Soul. We'll see you next time.